are watching the most hated
The year is
game developer.
2025 and the gaming world is at war. On one side, the general public, who doesn't get what the big deal is.
If there truly are people that are dropping off of the show, they're cowards.
They didn't like strong
Because they didn't like season 2 of The Last of Us, bro. I watched the seasons. This shit was garbage, bro. I knew that people were gonna watch season 1 because season 1 does have a good story. Let's not pretend it does not have a good story. All right, let's be dead ass serious, right? But I already knew that people were not gonna watch or fall off around the season 2 because it kills one of the most beloved characters in the second season, right? So most people are gonna be like, even the general public will be like, wait, you just killed one of my favorite characters. Why the F do I want to watch the rest? So that's like, what? Like, you guys didn't expect this? Of course, people are not gonna. People don't. Last of Us did not do it right. And what am I talking about? They didn't do it right where they killed a very beloved character, and and replace it with a different character that was strong enough to continue the story. Very few people know how to do that. Very few people, very few stories have done that. You know what I mean? Like for example, Lord of the Rings, right? When they kill him off in the movie, right? I mean, he did come back, but you get the idea. They killed him off, and you're like, oh shit. But the story was still good enough. You still continue watching it, and people still loved it, right? But yeah, like there's very few people that can actually do it, kill a beloved characters and continue the story. Game of Thrones, you know, whatever you want to say about the ending, but Game of Thrones, they killed so many characters, so many, but the show and other characters were still strong enough to continue it. And for Last of Us, Joel was the core character for Last of Us, not Ellie. No, she was a sidekick, and she was still a sidekick. And in 10 years, they're gonna remaster Last of Us, and he will live in 10 years. I promise you guys.
women. They don't like a lesbian.
And on the other side, gamers.
Well, the attacks on gamers are just beginning.
The wokest episode is.
Oh, by the way, guys, the reason why people didn't like Ellie being a lesbian or, pretty much the lesbian is because they introduced that in a DLC, not in the main story. If it was in the main story, that'd be different, right? Again, because she's young, she's discovering herself, her sexuality, all that kind of stuff. I get that. But the biggest problem was, like, they just, like, I felt like a lot of people felt like they added that part just for the sake of, like, pandering or check marking a box, pretty much. So that's why a lot of people didn't reject that idea, pretty much. That's my opinion, but yeah.
In television history.
At the center stands Neil Druckmann.
And all I'll say is at the end of the day, you're way less important. And some of you are not important at all. It's laughable. We send it to each other as jokes some of the time.
The beta male, the male feminist.
A once universally respected visionary. Now, the most divisive figure in gaming.
This is hilarious. I saw this on Reddit.
I'm gonna kill your kid in front of you.
What?
How vile.
Turning a game studio known for only making classics into one that only makes remasters and news
At
headlines.
this point, right?
This to me does feel actually disrespectful, and I mean that legitimately.
And to think that it all started with an idea he had in college. It's 2004, and Neil needs to pitch a zombie game to the father of zombie movies, George Romero.
We had a school project where we had to pitch game ideas to George Romero.
So the idea was for this kind of...
What the hell?
the story.
His idea is about a cop protecting a young girl. In the game, the player
Okay.
switches between the two characters to force empathy.
I pitched it to George and he hated it. So I just sat on it.
After getting a job as a programmer at the game studio Naughty Dog, he continues to work on these ideas in the background. Until Naughty Dog promotes Neil, along with Uncharted 2 director Bruce Straley, to direct a new project.
Our task was to reboot Jak and Daxter.
We started to realize
That's
that
so
it
weird.
was not going to do justice to the franchise that the fans had fallen in love with. It would be shifting it so far in a new direction.
I'm like, well, I have this thing I've been working on. what if we try to do this?
Eventually, this turns into a game based on his zombie idea. The old cop becomes a smuggler named Joel, who's tasked with escorting a girl that's immune to the virus named Ellie across the country to people that are working on a cure. Some of Neil's other pitches include Joel being a hardened criminal seeking redemption, a virus that only infects women,
and you found the one girl that it didn't infect, and that was Ellie. And the reason it failed is because it was a misogynistic idea.
So
a
it only
revenge plot where
infected...
Joel's old partner Tess hunts him across the country, and a climactic scene where Ellie comes in and saves Joel from being murdered by Tess. The game's director, Bruce Straley, rejects the revenge elements. Quote, revenge just wasn't a strong enough motivation for someone to travel all the way across an apocalyptic country for an entire year. At the time, Neil agrees. I'm pretty dark. I wanted to kill Elena in Uncharted 2. Bruce is the one that would balance me and push for more levity. The partnership works. It's a delicate tug of war, but the end result is lightning in a bottle.
People are constantly critiquing each other, and that's the culture we try to cultivate here at Naughty Dog, because it helps make the game better, even if sometimes it can be frustrating and hurt your ego, but at the end of the day, it's all about the game.
The game launches in June 2013, and both critics and players are floored.
Making this the 4th game ever to earn my highest rating.
The gameplay is pretty similar to their Uncharted games.
It's like a movie. Actually, my involvement is nothing.
But the story?
By the way, guys, I think this was the beginning of the end of video games, where they try to make everything make it sound and look like a movie, where that is very hard to do. And a lot of gamers, I'm not saying The Last of Us 1 was bad. I'm just saying, like, it was just, this started the trend of movie games. I guess that's the best way of saying it. And a lot of them fell at it, and a lot of them were way too ambitious. We still have that to this day, by the way. Look at Concord. Just saying. And look at the budgets of these video games lately. Just saying.
Is universally praised as a step forward for video games.
Sarah's dead.
Don't do this to me, baby.
The zombie win.
By the end of the game, players are empathizing so hard, to the point of it almost feeling traumatic.
Could you put your life on the line for me? Could you be the last of us?
And the ambiguous ending sparks countless debates online.
And so we don't want to come out and say this is what we intend, or this is definitely the answer, because it is open.
Suddenly, Neil gets universally praised as a storytelling genius.
It sticks in your mind even deeper on one level than a great work of literature or a cinematic masterpiece to some extent.
But their success comes with consequences. In 2014, right in the middle of production on Uncharted 4, Amy Hennig, one of the key creative forces behind Uncharted, leaves Naughty Dog under controversial circumstances.
It was very upsetting. Amy had been replaced. I don't know whether this
I believe that's why people said that Uncharted went to shit.
is public knowledge or not, but that was not her choice. It was the company's choice.
At the same time, Neil gets promoted to fill Amy's spot and reworks everything.
Is it tough for you to go into the set and work with Neil Druckmann, or
you just have to be professional and try and leave your opinion?
What? Yeah, I think a lot of people should hear that. You got to be professional and work at a professional level. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, you're not gonna like everybody you work with, but you still have to work with it to be professionally, and kind of go from there.
Opinions and resentments outside. Yeah.
The development crunch is so brutal that nearly 70% of designers quit after shipping due to creative burnout. Among them, Bruce Straley, Neil's creative partner and filter for his darker impulses, is gone. As Neil rises in the ranks, he grows more comfortable with confrontation. After getting some backlash for including LGBT content in The Last of Us DLC, he takes to Twitter. For each one of these bigoted and sad posts, I get thousands of positive ones from amazing fans. Some might say arguing on the internet is unprofessional, and it could leave you vulnerable to having your personal information stolen. That's why you should be using Surfshark, the sponsor of this video. It keeps your online data safe and private by encrypting your internet activity. Whether you're at home or using public Wi-Fi, Surfshark prevents your personal information from falling into the wrong hands. It also allows you to bypass geo restrictions and censorship, so that you can access movies, TV, and websites that might normally be blocked in your country. You'd be surprised at just how many movies you're missing out on. Unlike other VPNs, Surfshark allows you to protect an unlimited number of devices with a single subscription, meaning you can protect your phones, computer, tablet, and even smart TV all simultaneously. Surfshark also has a bunch of other helpful tools, like Surfshark Alert, which notifies you immediately if your email, passwords, or credit card information ever appear in a data breach, so you can sleep peacefully. Visit surfshark.com/SirW or enter promo code SirW for 4 months free. Surfshark also offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it out today. By doing so, you're also helping me make more videos. While arguing with fans might take a toll on Neil, it doesn't affect his standing at Naughty Dog. In fact, in 2017, he's promoted to vice president of the company. Now he has full creative control and a fresh team of developers. It's time to get honest.
The writer's responsibility.
The game goes down.
No social responsibility.
Everything goes down.
The only thing you have a responsibility is to tell the truth.
Just in time to start working on their next big project, The Last of Us. Part 2. The whole world applauds. However, some fans remain skeptical. Did they even need to make a second game? Wasn't the ambiguous ending part of the point?
And so we don't want to come out and say,
Yeah.
oh, this is what we intend, or this is definitely the answer, because it is open.
I know there's a lot of people that feel this trepidation about revisiting what that ending means. No one loves these characters more than we do, and we would not do this if we didn't feel like we had the right idea.
Right off the bat, it's clear this is a Neil game. All of Neil's rejected ideas for the first game are back. The revenge plot, the switching between characters mechanic, and his idea to kill a main.
Yep. All the ideas got rejected on the first game, which made the first game amazing. Brought back the second part, and people hated it.
Character from
Well,
Uncharted
it's decisive.
2. The extreme crunch is also back.
Where are we on getting physics on these strands?
We are working on it.
So for next time? For next time?
Yes, yes.
They released a story trailer and gameplay demo, and the hype train is now at full speed. The visuals are stunning. Every square inch of the world is drenched in detail.
Dude, they did the lips so well. Yeah, that actually looks really good. Wow. Yeah, how's I'm tumbling in there? That's actually, seriously, that's really, really good attention to detail. And oh god.
Nevertheless, even with just breadcrumbs, the online debates are already heating up.
There started to be these rumors about the game, false narratives that the game has homophobic Christians, and that's who you fight. And then there's like a series of like YouTubers and websites that just run with this stuff.
Neil knows the creative choices aren't going to please everybody, but as long as no one inside spoils anything, he thinks the backlash will be manageable.
And I was able to dismiss it, and then the leaks happened. And then
I remember that.
A flood.
I remember that. I remember the leaks.
With only a couple months until the game's release, someone leaks the
I remember
biggest
that. I
spoiler
remember
of
the
the
leaks.
game, Joel's death scene in full. Plus the fact that you play as his killer for around half of the game. The YouTube video gets taken down at around 1,000 views, but that's enough. Neil braces for impact.
Just want to say on behalf of everyone at Naughty Dog, a lot of you have sent us very sweet, encouraging messages along that time that have been really helpful. We make this thing. And that was the lowest point in my life.
If the leaks are true, this game can kiss my...
The destruction of several characters that people are very attached to.
And like those voices jumped on Joel dying and the fact that you played Joel's killer. And then the fact that they said that like Joel's killer is transgender.
If you think that game could be spoiled by a couple screenshots, really?
No matter what you've seen, heard,
After you hear them, you're not going to want to pick up this game.
or read, nothing compares to playing this thing from beginning to end.
Joke throughout production would say is like the downfall of Naughty Dog.
This is it.
This is the downfall. This game is the downfall of Naughty Dog.
The game releases in June 2020, and within hours of the game's release, hundreds of negative reviews start flooding the game's page.
We are going to steal Demo!
Naughty Dog just went full The Last Jedi on this one.
Considering the game is supposed to be 20 to 30 hours long, the number of negative reviews raises some eyebrows. In response, some people even publish research articles dedicated to proving it's a coordinated attack. Sony starts allegedly taking down hundreds of reviews,
attacking gamers again, which, who's surprised? It's kind of funny that they'll delete the negative ones, right? But they won't delete the positive ones.
This guy's really salty that the game didn't go the way he wanted it.
Metacritic also implements a 72-hour waiting period for future reviews. Attacks are coming at Neil from all sides, But rather than letting it pass over, Neil goes full offense.
And all I'll say is at the end of the day, to all our critics, we listen to that stuff and we digest a lot of it, but you're way less important. And some of you are not important at all when you're kind of shout and threaten and doing all that stuff. It's laughable. We send it to each other as jokes some of the time.
Look,
that's not good.
I get it. You love these fictional characters, but they're not real. You do know that, right? Guys, don't be scared of therapy. Think of it like working out for your brain. But soon, bad reviews aren't the only thing on Neil's plate. Some of the more observant fans notice lies in the marketing, mainly that Joel is added in post to make it look like he's a bigger part of the game. They also make him look different.
I don't know why they would do that. Just have scenes
I remember that.
in the trailer with Joel in them. That's not hard to do. They went out of their way to cut clips to make it look like Joel is involved in the scene.
Fans call it false advertising, but Neil says he just didn't want to spoil the surprise.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is one of my favorite games. And I know some people hated it. I loved when I played Metal Gear Solid 2 and I saw those trailers. You were deceived, right? Because they moved boss battles around. You always saw Snake. They never showed you Raiden. And I remember like I'm playing a whole new character. This is fucking awesome.
However, fans bring up an IGN article from 2018 that quotes Neil as saying Ellie will be the only playable character. To make the situation worse, as the Game Awards approach, when The Last of Us Part 2 is nominated for Game of the Year, Neil tweets, "The Last of Us fans, activate. For every vote you cast for The Last of Us Part 2, a hater loses their caps lock."
This wasn't a good tweet. First of all,
what? The Last of Us fans, activate. As a bonus for every vote you cast for The Last of Us Part 2, a hater loses their caps lock. And you know what's crazy? They actually won. Ghost of Tsushima lost to Last of Us 2.
It's a very passive-aggressive tweet, particularly with his emoji at the end.
He apologizes, saying it was all a misunderstanding. He doesn't want to come across as someone who dislikes criticism.
My tweet was meant as a joke, RE trolls. Essentially, we're living in his head rent-free.
But none of his former fans buy it. Multiple YouTubers report receiving strikes from Neil over videos critical of the game or the leaks.
Not only did Naughty Dog strike down my YouTube channel along with so many others, they also are responsible for my Twitter account being taken down.
Come September 2022, Neil's ongoing battle with fans hasn't died down, and Naughty Dog hasn't announced any new games. Fans are getting impatient, but it gets worse. In 2022, they announced a $70 remake of The Last of Us Part 1.
Oh my god.
$70? For a remake of a $20 game that's already been remastered. Well, at least it's coming to PC. Hopefully the port is okay. Oh boy. Players booted up, and it's after over an hour of waiting for it to build shaders, frame rate issues on the most high-end computers, textures not loading properly, and cutscenes where all the characters are wet. How does this one even work?
Ain't no way, bro.
If you plan on buying The Last of Us 1 remake, you're an idiot.
You don't deserve to call yourself a gamer or ever play video games again. In fact, you don't even deserve to peek at a video game ever again. And quite frankly, I hope your hands cramp up.
After 2 years, this is it. Sales disappoint. Critics call it unnecessary, and the goodwill in Neil's haters all but evaporates.
Druckmann became an egomaniac after The Last of Us, and lost his sense of humility.
Fast forward a year, and things aren't looking much better.
No, you lost his homie. That's what happened.
Just remasters. But Neil feels good. He's been promoted to head of Naughty Dog, and HBO launches The Last of Us TV series. Before it's released, Neil announces major changes to the story, with no input from Bruce Straley as far as anyone knows.
For example, the Bill sequence works very well in the game because you're fighting the infected with Bill. I think if we had adapted that exactly as is for the show, maybe a thrilling episode, but dramatically would have been a lot less interesting than where we've ended up, which we changed it quite a bit.
His ex-fans are primed to hate it, but in the end it's actually pretty good. In fact, HBO says it's one of their most popular shows that year. Neil becomes somewhat of a mainstream celebrity. New fans start pouring in, game sales spike, and he finally feels like he has some people on his side. Until season 2.
Yeah.
It turns out, fans of the show who haven't played the games have no idea what's in store.
Gonna kill him with a golf club?
Guys, I actually don't know what to do right now.
Told you.
I didn't think it was gonna happen this.
Told you.
After Joel's big moment, public opinion shifts. IGN gives the episode their lowest rating in history.
The result is a competent, often thrilling hour of television, but one that ultimately underserves the larger story and the characters it forever changes.
Viewership starts to fall off, and the season finale sees a 55% drop from the first season.
You have to expect that some people would just switch off after that, and people have switched off in their droves,
But not only that,
in December 2024, fans finally get a brief glimpse of something new. This time Neil has an executive producer role. But that doesn't make it void of controversy.
Bro, I saw that Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet literally had more dislikes than Concord.
Actress for Naughty Dog's upcoming game Intergalactic Heretic Prophet mocked gamers by sharing pro-DEI fan art. These are games that...
Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that, man. It's like, bro, where's the PR team of these actors? They'll never attack your audience. You're gonna hurt your audience. Fragile masculine T, 100% incel tears. Like that right there, it's like, you're so stupid. You're attacking your audience in general. Instead of like, just be silent about it. You know what I mean? You want to get the 100% of the pie, not a quarter of the pie. You don't want to hurt your market at all. Like that's the one thing you're like, showcase, like, instead of attacking the audience, just showcase why this game is gonna be insanely awesome. Why is this game is gonna blow your mind? You know, that's how you should market it, not attacking the people who are potentially gonna buy your game, aka keep the company up. How many companies have gone downhill because people like this attack the fans, aka the consumer base? It's so dumb.
Definitely are anti-gamer. These companies hate you. They have to be boycotted.
But Neil says not to worry, that this next game is going to deal with a much less controversial subject matter.
Oh, we made a game with The Last of Us 2. We made certain creative decisions that got us a lot of hate. So the joke is like, you know what, let's do something that people won't care as much about. Let's make a game about faith and religion.
Whether it's any good or not, we've yet to see. But it's clear Neil's not taking his foot off.
Yeah, yeah, I need to see what Intergalactic is gonna be about and the gameplay and all that. But yeah, dude, I have no faith in it. You know what I mean? I have no faith in it. So basically, none of the games that Neil worked on were good because of him. They were good because of Bruce Straley and the other writers. Yeah, pretty much what it kind of sounds like. He is good to coming up with the ideas, the basic idea of a story, but he needs help with that story to get it balanced right in order to tell a really good story. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's like one of the biggest problems with with him is like the reason why his stories pretty much sucked ass. Well, he didn't have help at all. He did not have help. So yeah, that's gotta tell you something for sure. Like, I'm pretty sure if you had help on The Last of Us 2, like writing wise, the story would have made it a lot better. For example, if they wanted Joel dead, it would have been more at the end of the story, pretty much. Close to the end of the story. Then that would have like at least help make more sense to it. That at least would at least help with the people who are like what the hell? And also you're not making people play wait, Son of a 2 left YouTube? Actually, you know what? It's right. I haven't watched his videos in a while. Anyway, sorry. That would also like you don't have to like do the whole thing of people playing the person that killed your favorite character. That's one of the most dumbest things ever. One of the most dumbest decisions ever. They could have done that maybe in part 3 to expand that story slowly, in a better way. Because that would have been a lot better, in my opinion. Obviously, it's not perfect, but at least like with him dying, you're like you're gonna leave with questions like, why did she do that? What was the reasoning? Why did this and that? Like questions like, oh my god, I can't believe this happened. So in part 3, they'd be like, all right, what was the reason? And hopefully the reason is good enough. And they're like, oh wow, I can see why she wanted revenge. You know what I mean? Or something like that. I don't know. Just I'm just thinking top of my head. And they could really build off the story of that pretty much. But they really want to go on the revenge route, you know. So, anyways. Oh man. Oh, God.